Hi plant queens, welcome back to my channel. I'm Saab, and today we are going to take a look at my favorite highlight and low light trailing or hanging houseplants. I was just gonna do a highlight one, but as I was looking around looking at my favorite trailing plants, I did find a bunch of low light plants that I want to include. So let's just get right into it. I think I will start with the highlight ones, and by highlight, I will go through each of them and talk about kind of the conditions I give them, how much light they do need to survive and thrive. But sorry about the construction noises if you can hear that. I don't think you can because my mic shouldn't pick that up. Anyway, let's start with this one. Obviously, we are starting with the Hoya. If you guys know me in this channel, then you know how much I love Hoyas. This one is a classic. I think when you think Hoyas, this is one that immediately pops into a lot of people's minds, whether you're into Hoyas or not. And this has definitely been one of the oldest Hoyas for me. Like, it's been with me for quite a while, and it's grown from just a couple of leaves to a beautiful trailing plant. So here she is. This is my Hoya Carnosa. Oh, can't even fit the tendril just going out of the pot. Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. Yeah, so I'm gonna give you a good look at her because she is beautiful. Is that focusing? I think that's focusing. So here at the end, you can see she has a bunch of white leaves. So this Hoya is receiving direct light from my Sansi Grow Light, which is pretty strong. So I think that's also why it's able to retain the white leaves, because this Hoya in particular has the habit of putting out a lot of variegation on its leaves. And the white will stay around as long as you give it enough light. And enough light, I think for me, is just either giving it direct afternoon or direct morning sun, or putting it directly under a grow light like I'm doing. So this is one of the easiest to care for Hoyas in my opinion. It really doesn't need much from you as long as you can nail the lighting conditions and just water it when the leaves feel soft. So I just watered this yesterday and the leaves feel pretty hard. Like you can see, if I try to bend that, there is no give at all. So that's how you know how to water Hoyas in general. Not for every Hoya, but for the more straightforward ones like the Carnosas. If you bend the leaves and there's give to it, then that's how you know that it's time to water them. So this is obviously looking for something to climb, as you can see from her tendril over there. But I really want this as a trailing Hoya, so she'll just have to deal with it. But again, this is my Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. Absolutely one of my favorites. I definitely prefer this over the Princess, I would say, just because of its habit of putting out very, very splashy leaves like that. Is that focusing at all? I think so. Okay. So this next one, I love this plant so much. This just gives me so much joy when I look at it, just because of the way it trails and because of how unexpectedly fast it grows. Because I've always heard that this is a plant that kind of takes a while for some people, but I think once it gets settled in the environment that you give it, and if you give it the right light, then it will just keep shooting out new growth like nobody's business. I'm just gonna stop talking and show you. Oh, it's dripping water everywhere. This is my dischidia ovata, or the watermelon dischidia. Look at her beautiful hair. Wow. I love this plant. I'll give you a close-up of what those leaves look like. So this is also called the watermelon dischidia because the leaves, if you can see, look like kind of mini watermelons. And this is how they grow. So this is like a close relative of the Hoyas. So they're similar in the way that they like to vine out like this. How do I show you that? There. So you can see she has a lot of those tendrils around. And when these get sun stressed, they look absolutely beautiful. I will put a photo of what it looks like sun stressed. Although unfortunately, I do not have enough light for that to happen. I think you'd need a ton of light, like maybe all day outdoor kind of light for that to happen. But this one is happy, just kind of living by my southwest window. You can see it does this little dance when you shake it. I love it so much. Yeah, what else can I say about this plant? Oh, for watering, I forgot to mention the Carnosa is in pon. I think most of these plants will be in pon except for one, which I'll talk about later. So since this is in pon, I just water it like I would a plant in soil. So I just wait again for the leaf to feel like you can bend them. So this is an example. Like I just watered this yesterday and I could bend some of the leaves, so I knew it needed water. Obviously be careful when bending the leaves like that because they might snap. But yeah, I absolutely love this plant and I think it deserves more attention just because I don't really see this in a lot of lists or a lot of Instagram accounts. It's so affordable as well, at least where I'm from. Not sure how affordable it is in other countries, but I wanted to show you like these leaves in particular. Look at how huge those leaves are compared to the other ones. Like that is so cute. Again, this is my dischidia ovata, just sitting in a southwest window, so getting some direct light, but not a ton. But it would definitely suffer if I put it in a low light situation, just because it is one of those plants that does need a lot of light to grow and even to survive. So that is plant number 2. This next plant is again one of my favorites. I keep saying that, but really I love trailing plants. These plants are among some of my favorite in my entire collection. And this next one especially because there's a pretty good backstory to this. Well, not exactly a backstory, but you'll see. So this is my string of hearts Durban, or a Ceropegia Durban. So I haven't really seen these around, but take a close look at those leaves. I think that's just beautiful. I absolutely love this plant. I haven't seen these around, unlike other varieties like the Silver Glory is very popular. I think this is a not so famous cultivar. It kind of looks like, if you are into your string of plants, then you will know that it kind of looks like the string of spades, just in the way that the hearts are shaped, but not exactly. It looks to me like a cross between a regular string of hearts and a string of spades. Obviously, that's not what it is. And some of the more mature leaves are actually very silver. I'll try to insert some clips because I can't tip the pot over. I'll get water all over. Same care with the others. I just wait for the hearts to get pretty soft. This does not like to be overwatered. And this can actually survive in medium light conditions, but it's not going to grow as fast. And this is a fast grower if you give it the right conditions, let me tell you. So I'm going to put a photo up here of what this looked like when I got it and why I love it so much. You will see. I got this last February, and as you can see, it was just a single strand. So I used the butterfly method to chop that strand up and put it back in the pot. So I would cut it up into individual nodes like this, for example. I would cut it here, stick it back in the pot, and just kept doing that for how many months has it been since February? It's been 5 months, and from this little thing to this beautiful pot, which just is exploding with a lot of new growth. It's such a fast grower, and it really absolutely does love tons of light. So if you can give it that, then you will have a full pot in no time. So this is again my string of hearts Durban. Definitely one of my more unique plants. Oops, I'm trying to untangle, sorry. Just because not a lot of people have this cultivar, and I don't know why. If you guys can get your hands on it, I think it's absolutely cute. Kind of reminds me of the string of spades, but with a little bit more personality. Okay, so I think those are the 3 highlight plants I wanted to talk about. Now we'll move into the low light plants. But before we get into that, I would just like to say that these plants can survive in no light, but they definitely will not grow as fast. So if you really are wanting to get lush, big, beautiful pots of any of these plants or any low light plants in general, I would at least give them medium light. So for most of these plants I'm going to be talking about, they are receiving about medium to low light depending on the plant. But let's just get into it. I'm gonna get up and pick up the first pot. So I'm not sure, some of you might remember this, or this may be the first time you're seeing her, but I haven't updated anyone on this plant. It was one of the first ever plants I featured, possibly in my second video. And this is not exactly a this is not exactly a trailing houseplant. It's more of a hanging houseplant, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is an Anthurium vittarifolium. Wow, that looks so good on camera. I love this plant. Look at that. So cool. Okay, so this is a Pendant Anthurium, I think is what it's called. So it has these long, beautiful leaves. And I'll insert now a clip. I will try to find a clip of what it looked like when I got it, because when I got this, I don't remember exactly when. I will try to include, the date of the clip on there. But when I got this, as you are hopefully seeing, it was literally a tiny seedling. And I was growing it in LECA for the longest time before moving it over to Pon quite recently, just because I heard that Anthuriums tend to like Pon better and I want to try that. So here she is now, and she is gorgeous and bouncy. I love bouncy hanging plants. I don't know. And it's not a conventional I don't know where to put her while I'm talking. It's not a conventional hanging plant per se, but I think it works well for that purpose. So this is getting, I would say, medium light. It sits a little bit beyond the reach of my grow light, so it's not directly under it, but it's also not sitting in the dark, is what I'm saying. So you can see these are some of the older leaves. The original leaves were even smaller than this, and I think the last leaf it came out with was this one that I was showing you. So I think for this Anthurium, it's a bit important to talk about humidity. This does need, I would say, a bit higher humidity compared to the other plants I showed you. Those can sit in, normal room temp. But this one, I think those are spider mites again. We'll get to that. But this one, because Anthuriums in general do enjoy a bit more humidity, I would just give it 60% plus humidity to be on the safe side. So, speaking of spider mites, which I spotted again, so I'll have to treat him, you will see on this leaf, I hope that shows up on camera. There, I think you can kind of see, there's spider mite damage right there. And I wouldn't say this is prone to spider mites, but ever since it got spider mites, it would keep coming back. And the worst part is they usually attack the new growth. That's why this entire leaf, sorry, is it this one? Yeah. That's why this entire leaf is damaged, because I did not catch it when it was being attacked as a little tiny baby leaf. So I would just be mindful of that. Just treat your plants regularly. I have a weekly pest treatment regimen. If you guys are interested, I can make a video about that. But yeah, I definitely skipped out on this one for that. And now that I've seen it, good thing I'm making this video, I will definitely treat it. So what else do I talk about? It's quite easy to propagate this as well, by the way. You can see the chunky aerial roots. You can just cut below that and stick it in LECA or Pon. I would not advise water. I know if you're familiar with Plants Meow, I think is her YouTube channel. She has a lot of Anthuriums and she doesn't recommend water just because they don't take as well or the failure rate is higher. But compared to other Anthuriums, don't be intimidated. The vittarifolium is definitely one of the easier ones, and it's been growing for me so quickly from a tiny seedling to this. So I'm very happy about this plant, and definitely one of the plants that I'm most proud of owning just because I grew it from a tiny baby seedling. So again, that is my Anthurium vittarifolium. So this next low light plant I wanted to include just because I see it more commonly staked up a pole instead of trailing, but I think it looks so much better, at least in my opinion, trailing, or maybe I just love my plant. So here is my Monstera Peru. And obviously you probably know this plant. It's a very popular house plant, and it's known for its beautiful corrugated leaves. That is just gorgeous. Very dark, very textured leaves. And there's new growth right there. That's what they look like when they're coming out. This is multiple stems in one pot, and this is in LECA. I've been growing it in LECA ever since I got it. And this one is definitely a slower grower, but that also may just be due to me giving it lower light than it wants. But yeah, look at how many new leaves it has, like the lighter colored growth on top, like this one, 2, 3 down here. It's still pretty happy. It sits up here in my basket wall, and this does not get a lot of light because there's a wall blocking it, and it's still quite happy where it is. So the care for this is pretty much like every other plant I have in LECA. I do flush this, I would say, every 2 weeks and refill the nutrients as well. It hasn't given me any pest issues so far. Hopefully that doesn't change. I would say that it is quite tricky to propagate this just because they don't like to root, or they don't like to root as fast. I've tried propagating this in pond and water and LECA. I would say that the fastest that it grows roots is to propagate it in LECA. That's just in my experience. Of course, you can definitely try your preferred method, but it'll take about, I would say, 2 weeks to a month to show any sign of root, and the root growth will be quite slow. But if it's in LECA, it does tend to kind of grasp onto the LECA balls, and just that speeds up the root growth, at least in my opinion. So if you want to propagate this plant, just be mindful of that. It will take a while, but it will show roots eventually. Just, not as fast as something like a pothos, for example. But yes, this is one of my favorite low light trailing houseplants. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, I think if you have one of these, consider letting it trail down instead of letting it grow up a pole, just because it doesn't change size much when you grow it up a pole anyway, or it takes a while for the leaves to get bigger, and even when they're really big already, it doesn't change in appearance so much. But when they're trailing, they look nice and bushy, and just, it's a different vibe, It's a different vibe. Okay, I think we are at our last plant already. This was a quick video, but these are some of my favorite plants. I hope you guys are enjoying. And this plant is also something that has been with me for a very long time. I started with just a few cuttings of this plant. I should have some footage of what it looked like before. So here is my neon heart leaf. Oh, she's so beautiful. I love her. So I will insert some footage. I think it was from my first ever video actually, of what she looked like before. You will see she was very tiny, growing in LECA, and she is still in the thing is trying to, my ovata is trying to steal the spotlight. So now she is this gorgeous, beautiful, trailing houseplant. Absolutely love her. And the special thing about this plant is that when the new leaves come out, they kind of come out this neon this neon yellow bright color. Is that focusing? Come on, camera. Right there. So that's what they look like. And then they fade back to a more green, apple green, I would say, color. And this plant just looks so beautiful when it trails. I don't know what it is. Like, pothos look more aggressive, and this one looks like it's chill. Like it's just going down like that. I absolutely love this plant. And I have actually cut this back aggressively multiple times. So maybe it was up to here before, and I trimmed the heck out of it and just took a bunch of cuttings, because these are so easy to root. in water or in lake or in pond, wherever. They just love it. They're so easy to propagate, which is probably why this is such a common houseplant as well. As for the lighting, which is what this video is about, I actually give this pretty bright light. I know this is a low light houseplant, but I included it in the low light list because it can tolerate low light and it will still grow in low light. But I find that it's best to give it as bright of a light as you can give it in the medium to low category, because it tends to keep the yellow coloration a bit longer when you do give it the light that it wants. That's really sticking into that plant. So if you can, give it higher light, but if you do want to put this in your kitchen or something where it gets minimal light, that's totally fine too. There is one leaf I wanted to show you. It'll sometimes do this very cool thing where it shows some variegation. I have gotten leaves like this before. There, can you see that? So there is some slight variegation to it. It's usually not stable. I can't isolate it and make a whole new plant out of it. But yeah, that's something pretty cool about this plant. This is absolutely one of my favorites. I think it's just beautiful. If I could fill my house with this, I would. That would be like the dream, to just have a wall of neon heartleaf philodendron everywhere. That would be amazing. So I think that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel for similar content. Thank you so much. If you guys liked any of these plants, or if you have your own favorite trailing houseplants that I didn't include in this list, do let me know down below. I always love to read and see your comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!